booted, and we'll start shortly.
All right, I think we can start.
Great. Well, welcome everybody. We're delighted to introduce you to the Translational Research and Applied Medicine Master's Program. I'm Dean Felsher. I'm here with Joanna Lilienthal. We're both going to describe in detail this program. I'll start out, but then Joanna is going to tell you a lot more about the program. We're also here with Laura Remillard, who is our program manager, and we really very much appreciate your interest in our program. I'd start out by telling all of you who I am. So I'm a professor at Stanford. I've been at Stanford 23 years. I'm serving as the program director for this master's program. I've been faculty in oncology and pathology. I run my own laboratory, but I also play a leadership role in multiple other programs at Stanford, including the MTRAM program, the Medical Scientist Training Program, the Advanced Residency Training Program, and other programs. But the program I'm going to talk to you today is a new graduate program that we envision to fill a very important need in medical research, to train people specifically in how to do translational research. Can I have the first slide, please? This program grew out of what at Stanford is the Translational Research and Applied Medicine Program. This was a program that Dr. Lilienthal and I started now over 10 years ago as a way to support at Stanford translational research. And we provided training to students and residents and clinical fellows in translational research, and we provided funding for projects, and we provided specialized resources to help facilitate translational medical research. Now, in building this program at Stanford and having mentored hundreds of students and sponsored hundreds of seminars, we had an epiphany that the program we built needed to be organized into a graduate program that would be available to people at Stanford, but also to candidates who would apply from outside of Stanford. Next slide. And so we got approval for a new Master's of Science in Translational Research and Applied Medicine. The program started this year for internal candidates, but will start for this coming year for external candidates. And the idea was to make a one-year master's program that would prepare students to be leaders in academia and industry in translational medical research. We particularly wanted to take advantage and leverage off of the outstanding research facilities and expertise at the Stanford School of Medicine. And we knew that we were building a program that did not exist at Stanford, did not exist, in fact, anywhere on the West Coast, and there are only a few similar kinds of programs, usually also at top-ranked universities. Next slide. Now, importantly, the program that we built has tremendous support from Stanford. In particular, we built a master's program that is aligned with both the departments of medicine and pediatrics, but many other faculty who are leaders of institutes, of programs, internationally regarded translational researchers have expressed their support, interest for this program. All of these individuals are an integral part and will be an integral part of the success of this new master's program. Next slide. Now, we're looking for many different kinds of students. We're particularly looking for students who really want to become leaders in translational research discoveries with clinical applications. This would include current physicians and medical students. It would also include recent college graduates, may include graduate students who would like to particularly be oriented around a career in translational medical research. This also include individuals who are academic research assistants or professionals in biotechnology, as well as other professions, people with a background in business, in law, or other medical professionals. Next slide, please. Now, we built an exciting, integrated, didactic curriculum that also includes experiential learning and opportunities to do research and opportunities to gain experience in the clinic or in a biotechnology company. And here are some of the curriculum highlights, including 48 units of didactics. The curriculum is structured in a very flexible way. There'll be opportunities for people who do not have a clinical background to have clinical experiences, for people to have research experiences, rotations in biotechnology companies and in research laboratories at Stanford. In particular, we'll provide a summer internship to get hands-on experience in the development of therapeutics. And each student will have a capstone project that is mentored by faculty in industry and/or academia. Next slide. Now, the leadership of the program reflects the diversity of our backgrounds and interests. I've mentioned me, a scientist in oncology, Dr. Lilienthal, who will talk much more in a second, but also includes as co-directors, Dr. Gary Shaw, who's a professor, pediatrics, an internationally regarded epidemiologist, and Professor George Tidmarsh, who has a faculty appointment at Stanford, but also has been highly successful in biotechnology companies, bringing several therapeutics into the clinic over his career. We have a program manager with outstanding experience at Stanford, Laura Remillard, who's here today also to answer your questions. And together we provide a highly motivated, very talented group of individuals who will provide guidance for the students in this program. Next slide, please. So now I'd like to turn over to Dr. Joanna Lilienthal. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joanna Lilienthal. Thank you, Dean, for a nice introduction. I'm the Executive Director of M-TRAM, and I would like to welcome all of you to our master's program in Science in Translational Research and Applied Medicine informational session. So I'm really here today to give you an overview about our exciting new graduate program and answer your questions. The program is ideal for those who are passionate about biomedical sciences and would like to build a strong foundation for a career in either academia or biotechnology, pharmaceutical industry, or pursue further their education, whether in medical school or graduate school. So a stepping stone for further education and career. Our new Master's in Translational Research and Applied Medicine at Stanford is a very unique program. It crosses the disciplines and trains the next generation of professionals who are capable of translating the new discoveries into clinics, into practical solutions that improve and save lives. We equip our students with the tools to navigate those complexities of research, design, and methodology. Our program combines a unique curriculum composed of, as Dean mentioned, both didactic and project-based or skills-based experiential learning. Students undergo advanced training in research concepts in the classroom, as well as hands-on learning in the lab. Our immersive capstone experience, which I'll discuss in a second in more detail, allows students to use Stanford or industry resources to dive deep into the research projects and help develop a novel therapeutic, diagnostic, or health preventive strategy. So this is our curriculum. Most students complete the program in one academic year, structured from the autumn quarter through summer quarters. Students need to master coursework in each of the core classes, which include drug discovery, and design, clinical trial, and clinical research, study design and analysis, as well as applied medicine, with the focus on immunotherapy, gene therapy, vaccines, and biomarkers. M-TRAM also includes experiential learning courses with hands-on training. You see those Med 212 A and B, C. These are all experiential learning courses, which includes hands-on training in translational proteomics, genomics, as well as cell-based assays, including experimental design and computational analysis. There are also rotations, clinical rotation or technology rotation. So students will be matched to their educational needs. So an MD trained candidate will choose a research-oriented rotation, whereas a non-physician, non-MD trained candidate can choose a more clinically oriented rotation. Students working on their capstone project will have the opportunity to work in either at a Stanford research lab or our industry partner under the mentorship of a research mentor from Stanford. And more about our capstone project, which is really the centerpiece of M-TRAM. It's a year-long research project, which we called TRIP, Translational Research Individual Project. This is where students join real-world teams to take medical innovations from an idea to the clinic. So each student will complete and present a mentored capstone project, which will be submitted to and approved by the advisor and the program directors, the whole capstone committee. And by the end of the program, the fourth and final term, which is the summer, students will present their research findings at the student showcase at the M-TRAM Research Symposium. So project ideas can take several forms, but are always individualized to the student research interests and goals. And I just wanted to show you a schematic of what our class schedule looks like. And the purpose for showing this is to let you know that, yes, it is a full-time one-year program with in-person and online classes throughout the day. However, as you can see, a lot of the gray spaces in between, the program is designed to be very flexible to allow you to learn without compromising your existing clinical or research obligations. So as long as you have flexibility in your current career or current study, you can incorporate M-TRAM into your schedule. So in terms of core competencies, what do we expect? So M-TRAM is specifically designed to train students in medical translation of basic science into therapeutics, diagnostics, or medical devices. Our focus is early medical translation, but our training covers the entire A to Z of medical translation that includes understanding of how to define an unmet need in the clinic, develop a medical or develop a research hypothesis, design a clinical study, and perform and use measurements of clinical specimens using emerging technologies. We expect the M-TRAM graduates to go directly to positions in academia and industry. Dean already covered this. I'm just going to add that we would expect our graduates to include maybe a physician who becomes a leader in investigator-initiated studies in academia or industry, a college graduate who takes on leadership roles in industry to develop therapies and diagnostics, but also maybe a business or law student who becomes a business or legal leader in academia and industry. And there's so many other more types of suitable positions for which M-TRAM will make you more competitive. So if you are ready to apply or think about applying, our deadline is January 30th, which is coming up soon, a little bit over a month. An online application form is required. This is the link that contains questions about your personal and educational background. And then additional requirements can be submitted along with your online application or separately. And importantly, it's important to mention that there are additional requirements for international students. So if your first language is not English, you will be required to provide evidence of English proficiency by taking the TOEFL test. What happens after you apply? We reviewed the applications in the beginning of 2023. If selected to the next round, we'll ask you to complete an interview with us sometime in March. And by the end of March, we will make our decisions, and you'll need to respond to the decisions in April. So basically, the whole process takes early spring, you will know whether you're selected or not. And classes start in the end of September 25th. One thing I'd like to also mention is that we are planning a retreat in September, which will be a welcome to our new students, and that will be done sometime in mid-September. So if selected, you will get more information about this retreat, which will be a day of talks, lectures, and welcoming the new students, and also listening to the research of the progress of our existing students. So this is something that many applicants ask us about. I'm going to be very transparent about it. Stanford tuition is very high. However, what you can do is basically contact the Stanford financial aid as soon as possible. There are a variety of funding options for graduate students based on academic merit, financial need, course of study. You can also apply for other, fellowships and grants, internal, that are secured by academic departments, and also external through different agencies and governments and organizations. And I really would like to stress, this is very important for you to secure your funding options for paying the very high Stanford tuition early on in the process. This is our contact information, and for those of you who are attending our informational session today, you will get the slide deck, so no need to write it down right now, but you can email all of us directly, but I recommend that you reach out to the general email, mtramstudies@stanford.edu, because then the email will reach all of us at M-TRAM, and we will answer your questions depending who of us has the best expertise to answer your particular question. Also, make sure you visit our webpage, which includes detailed information about the program. So last but not least, I wanted to share with you testimonials of our current students who are really excited about the program, and many of them are here joining us today and will be happy to answer your questions as well. As you can see from their quotes, whether you are a physician and want to make connections between patient care and basic science research, or if you are a research professional, or if you have recently graduated from college before you apply to medical or graduate school, M-TRAM will help you extend your knowledge and connections and provide you with the essential tools to build a really exciting career in the rapidly growing field of translational medicine. And we're happy to take your questions. So I'm going to stop sharing right now.
Can I just make a comment? Thank you, Joanna. I know that we have one of our current students here, Go, and I know that he would be happy to make a comment.
Absolutely. So let me see. I'm not quite sure how to make his video show up, but if you have questions for Go, you can put those questions in chat, and then Go will answer those. Oh,
There he is.
Okay.
I was able to enable it. You can enable it.
Awesome.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
You can turn your video on probably too if you want to, Go.
I don't see that option. I think
Okay.
I might just have to talk. Anyway, yeah, as a student of the program, it's been a really enlightening experience. I've been able to meet with a lot of really interesting people that have connections in different parts of clinical research and academic research. And I think that's been one of the strengths of the program, has just been being able to connect with people that can give you a lot of perspective about the process of clinical research translation. And I've been able to work in a medical clinic setting at the VA. And so it's just been a really enlightening experience, and me wanting to get into the MSTP program. I think it's really an ideal segue into being a physician scientist. So if anyone's interested in that field, I think this program is definitely for you. And then also for anyone else that's interested in translational research, this is definitely the place to be.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you, Go. Yes, go ahead, Laura.
no, I was just going to point out some of the questions that we have in the Q&A. The first one is, are you giving out application fee waivers for attendance of this info session?
I would say unfortunately not, because the fee waivers are not designed by us. These are Stanford University mandated, fees, and we don't have a way to override it. So unfortunately, no. But perhaps you can reach out to graduate admissions and ask them for a fee waiver directly from them.
And then the next question is, how much of the focus is on vaccines and immunology versus devices?
I would say we don't really focus very much on devices. If a student wants to do a project on medical devices, we will guide them, and we will introduce them to people who can help them in their capstone project. Most of our focus is on immunology and the vaccines, immunotherapy, gene therapy, drug design, and so yes, it's much more focused on the research side, the wet lab, and the applications in terms of drug therapeutics, immunotherapy, as well as gene therapy, than medical devices. I don't know, Dean, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, the important thing is we've chosen certain areas of focus where we build a curriculum, but the possibilities are really broad because the network of colleagues that Joanna and I and colleagues have recruited really is across. So when you apply, if you have an area of interest, it's appropriate to specify that to us. We certainly have the range of building out opportunities. The goal really is to encompass the complete A to Z to therapeutics, from choosing a target and being able to screen for therapeutics or diagnostics to measure that target, to being able to do a clinical study and understand aspects of clinical study design, to understanding aspects of, well, what are the regulatory issues in manufacturing? We've chosen a few areas of particular focus, but there's actually a lot of broad possibilities. And that's one of the wonderful things at Stanford community. If you look at our TRAM website, you'll see examples of the dozens and dozens of projects and the range of faculty that have been involved in the program that Joanna and I have built over the years. So I don't think anybody should feel limited, but there's certainly certain areas that we've built a strength and an organized structure around. Like I saw somebody wrote asking they come from a finance background and would this program be applicable to them? Absolutely. In fact, as I think Joanna and I both said, we're really excited about having a graduate program that includes students across different previous experiences, because a lot of the learning that we feel that you get in a program like this is not just from us and from our faculty, but from your other colleagues who come from different backgrounds. And we expect that you'll be able to network, learn both from each other, and the collective experience will be much greater than just simply your individual experience. And Joanna and I have a lot of experience in terms of building programs where this is really the emphasis. I don't know that there's a program on campus or a service or resource that amongst us that we're not familiar with, you know, and that we don't know the faculty, we don't know somebody in the center or the resource. We also are widely networked in industry because the Bay Area is very rich in terms of the biotech industry, and there are a large number of our colleagues who have an active interest in providing opportunities for you. And George Tidmarsh, one of the primary directors of the program, is both in academia and industry and has created a wonderful external advisory of outstanding leaders in biotech and pharma that will be part of your mentorship and provide connections. So you get kind of the best of both worlds of academia and industry. You'll learn about a few focused areas, but the range of things that you can learn, it really is up to your imagination. And we want fantastic candidates to tell us what they're excited about it doing at Stanford. And we want people from many different backgrounds and different educational levels.
Thank you. I'm also seeing questions about, for example, the percentage of acceptance rates, and perhaps comment on the competitiveness of the program, the admission process, if you will.
I will try to answer part of it, and then Dean will also chime in on this. So all Stanford programs are highly competitive. How competitive it is will depend on how many people ultimately apply. We expect a few hundred people to apply to our program, and we already have every day we have more and more people apply, and it's already definitely well above 100. And we will most likely take 12 applicants, but people typically apply right before the application date. So if there are 500 applicants, you can calculate the acceptance rate. We can't really speak on the past experience because we are a new program. The first year, the inaugural year, acceptance was done in a very different way because we had to only take internal candidates. But 2023, 2024 will be the first year when it's open to everybody. And I'll let Dean answer that or add to my answer.
Yeah, so we're sensitive to the fact that there's an anxiety anytime you apply. And I don't really think that the numbers really mean a lot. We can't really, and we really can't give you anything precise because all of the specifics are actually considered private. But an important thing to point out in our program is that we're sensitive to the need to provide an opportunity for as many people as possible. And so if you apply to the program and you're not accepted, keep your eye on the program. We have every intention of providing other kinds of opportunities so that we'll be able to provide educational experiences for as many people as possible. In every very good program at Stanford, there are unfortunately more talented people apply that can be accepted. But we encourage you when you do apply, emphasize what's unique about you. Why is it that this particular experience would particularly be beneficial to you and what you would offer us as part of it being a member of our program. And I want you all to appreciate that being accepted or not accepted into a program is not going to be simply a decision based on some numerical talent or
Right.
It's more collective. And I've been involved in many kinds of admissions. And I always remind people now that I've been a professor at Stanford for over 20 years, I did not get accepted into the MD PhD program. Then I'm now the director of admissions. And I always remind students that they're all more talented than me, even though I'm making decisions about who would be admitted. So it's worth you applying. Many of you are going to get in. And of course, we cannot accept everybody who applies. We'll do very careful considerations in terms of creating a balanced class. And we're hard at work as a team trying to create other educational opportunities so that there'll be more opportunities for more people.
Thank you so much. I see some questions about what applicants should highlight in their application. I think you touched on that a little bit, but such as the statement of purpose, and also I think somebody asked about what types of letters of recommendation to send.
So let me just add to what was already said in terms of the statement of intent. Two things that we definitely want to know from you is your practical experience, what experience in educational and practical background you have in terms of either clinical or basic research. And most importantly, we really want to know your intent, why you want to do this. What is your reason for applying? What is your goal? Because there are people who apply for different reasons based on their career goals or educational goals. So we need to know whether it is that you see it as a stepping stone to further your education and because you want to apply to medical school, or we want to know whether you already are a physician or a scientist and want to learn how to become a leader, how to become a better physician, scientist, or a scientist that has better applied clinical skills. So that's sort of my short answer, but again, I'll let Dean elaborate on this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Joanna. The best letters are people who really know you. Don't choose people just because they're the most famous person or the most senior person. Choose people who know you and can describe your importance and why what you've done and what you want to do is relevant to our program. That's my number one advice. The second piece of advice is it's always best to simply really be honest about who you are and what you want to do. The best applications are from individuals who can articulate clearly something that really makes sense with what their trajectory is. Sometimes candidates will try to guess. They think they'll say what it is that a program's looking for. That's usually very transparent because the letters in your background won't match. And we're trying to make it pretty clear to you that we're very open-minded. There are a large kind of category, lots of categories of individuals to be fantastic for our program. The third thing is that overwhelmingly what usually we're looking for in an application is a level of commitment. And what does that mean? It's some demonstration that if we accept you into our program, that you really are directed and motivated to be successful as a translational scientist. And that can be a reflection of be past achievement. It can be something that you've done. It can be an idea that you can express to us, showing us that level of commitment. But we're usually looking for an intensity of commitment of background. But we're not looking, this is not a cookie cutter. There's not one right application. And the letters are going to matter a lot, but it's most important the letters show a demonstration of depth of somebody that knows you. I encourage you when you're writing an application like this to use it as a growth experience. Think about, why is it that you were attracted to this program and what is it that you think it would bring for you, and be honest about that, because those sort of applications are the ones that will attract our interest, inspire us, and see you as being somebody that'll really benefit from our program.
Thank you. We had some questions about the research lab component. Some are asking, do these labs pay grad students or does it vary by the PIs? And where have people gone in the past? And do we collaborate with outside labs?
Okay, so again, we will answer this question together, Dean and I. My first thought to answer it is, first of all, M-TRAM gives a small stipend to every student who is admitted. This small stipend pays for part of the reagents, consumables, basically research done in a capstone advisor's lab. However, each capstone advisor is also free to support the research of their master student, and that's going to be vary by the PI. And I would have that conversation with the capstone advisor. If you're considering to be in their lab, I would have that conversation in a very transparent way. Would they consider supporting you, for an additional amount so that you can do the research in their lab? In terms of collaborating with labs outside of Stanford, we are very flexible about this, and we welcome ideas. So if a student comes to us and says that they're already affiliated with a certain company or a certain academic lab outside of Stanford, and they would like to spend doing their capstone research there, we will definitely look into this. And as long as there is a Stanford designated advisor who can oversee the entire research, we will welcome this and Of course, it has to be approved by the whole committee, and as long as it's the right fit, we would probably say yes. And I'll have Dean answer this in with more details.
So the only thing I would add is that to remind you that in fairness to all of you, this is going to be the second year of our program. But in the first year, our 6 students have all been able to choose what I think was their first choice. And it included us arranging for them working in groups that had not necessarily already said that they were committed to our program. So our experience is that most faculty, most programs that a student would be interested in, there'll be a good chance that they would get one of their top choices, but without being able to guarantee. And as Joanna articulated, we are very carefully monitoring because we want to make sure somebody chooses an experience that will be a productive experience. The second aspect of this, I think, that is sort of the question is, to what extent can a student choose an experience? And the answer is we're going to prepare possible experiences, but we really want people to have a lot of opportunity to make a choice. So it's not that you're expected to completely be on your own, but on the other hand, if a student is part of the program and they have an interest, then we're going to try to match their interest with a productive experience. I think also one of the other questions that's open kind of impinges on this, which is the question is asking how many of the people that are going to be part of the program are already associated with Stanford, because obviously that changes what students think. Joanna wanted to make it clear when Stanford approved the program, the first year they only allowed us to take candidates who had trained at Stanford. That's what typically happens when a new program is approved at Stanford. So all the candidates we have currently had some association already having trained at Stanford. That is not true for any of you, for all of you applying, and we have not reserved any number of positions for Stanford-only candidates. Will we take Stanford candidates? Yes, if they are a good match and they write a good application, then we'll consider. But we have not, we're not reserving any positions necessarily for Stanford. Similarly, we'll certainly consider international candidates, but we have not set aside any spots for international candidates. But we realize that there'll be candidates internationally who are outstanding candidates, just like every other graduate program at Stanford, and you'll be considered along with other candidates. Certainly, as the program further develops, as I've already described to you, the intention is to provide other kinds of educational opportunities, because we realize, because of the interest we've already received in our program, that there'll be probably people interested in participating in this educational experience beyond the number of positions we have available in our graduate program. And keep in touch with us. We will be posting as we work and building other opportunities for people to engage in this program.
Are there any more questions? Do you have to have a research proposal in your application?
No. Yes, we give you purposely, we give you a whole quarter at the beginning. So when you are admitted to the program, you have a whole quarter to think about what you want to do in your capstone, and we make you rotate through labs and through different experiences, learn about different technologies before you actually decide. However, if you apply to our program and you are passionate about a specific idea that you already know that you would like to do your capstone with a specific focus, by all means, please let us know. We don't know whether this will be approved or whether this is the right fit, but we do want to know your ideas. I think we definitely value motivation, value passion. So if you already are very focused and centered on what you want to do, we do want to know that about you.
Yeah, and the great question, how we're incorporating feedback. We're incorporating feedback because Joanna and Laura are meeting daily with the current students, and the students are meeting quarterly with the entire directorate, exactly to get immediate feedback on educational experiences, didactic experiences, experiential experiences. How's it going? What's working? How are they enjoying? This is a very hands-on, the students are directly interacting with the directors of the program really frequently. And Joanna has mentored hundreds of translational researchers through TRAM. We have extremely motivated, through our TRAM program, we've had something like 500 students come through. So even though we're a new program, the faculty and administrative staff involved in this program are we're all really very experienced at this. And so it's very much programmed into what we do, is that you have a lot of hands-on interaction with the directors and with the executive leadership of the program.
Thank you. And then someone asked if you already have research translation idea and design, which part of your application do you incorporate this in? I was going to say if it shows in your transcripts, but you can also add it in your statement of intent. And there's also room, I believe, for additional uploads, but I'll let Joanna and Dean elaborate more or add to that.
Absolutely. I would say if you already have this experience, it's very important you write it in your intent letter. So we want to learn about you, your experience, what you have already done, and that will make you a stronger candidate.
Well, thank you. Any other questions? And as was pointed out in the slides, there may be some questions that you have later on, so don't hesitate to reach out. I'm going to put in our email address again in the chat. And please feel free to reach out to us.
So probably
comment on the interview.
Yeah, Joanna and Laura, you probably should answer that.
Well, who will be?
So yeah, go ahead, Laura.
No. I was just reading the question. They're both sort of related there on the interview process, the panel, and what will be the content.
So as I mentioned in the presentation, we will, if selected to the next round, we will meet with you sometime in the spring, most likely in March 2023. You will meet with the entire leadership team, Dean Felcher, myself, Laura, as well as our two co-directors, George Tidmarsh and Gary Shaw. It will be a short interview. The main idea, the main questions we want to ask you is why you applied. What is your reason for applying? And we want to also learn about your past experience and both work experience and educational experience. So I would say in a very general sense, it's similar. The questions we ask are similar to the intent letter. I don't know, Dean, if you want to add anything to this.
No, I mean, the interview is a two-way chance for you to explain why you want to be part of the program, and for us to get a chance to kind of personally get to know you, and then for you to get a chance to know the directors of the program and get an idea of what the program will feel like by actually directly interacting. I think it's a great question to ask whether or not we're going to provide business training for biotech startups, and that there's not really a formalized part of the curriculum that's really business training. Certainly, the program, the didactics are really oriented around knowing a lot of what would be required to have an understanding to be successful in developing a therapeutic or diagnostic. But we're not a program that actually is providing specific counseling on how to start a biotech company. It's more an aspect of where somebody who wanted to be part of a biotech or start a biotech company would understand much more what's required in terms of actually developing an invention and translating it in a practical way. There are other programs at Stanford that do provide mentorship and guidance in terms of actually starting a company. And I would not be surprised if people graduating our program, that one of the outcomes is that they decide that they want to start a company because they will have learned and become connected with individuals that would provide resources. But this is not an educational program where the focused intention is to teach somebody how to start a biotech company.
But to add to this, yes, I mean, I basically want to say exactly the same thing. But to add to this is there are no other formalized educational programs at Stanford that will teach you about translational medicine. However, once you're admitted to M-TRAM, you have the advantage of being able to network with the resources at Stanford that will teach you exactly how to start a biotech company. As someone from outside of Stanford, it will be much harder to do. But if you are a matriculated M-TRAM student, we can even help you reach out to those individuals and those organizations and centers at Stanford, and they will guide you and they will give you feedback and mentorship on how to accomplish that.
Thank you, Joanna. And we have another question. Comment on full versus part-time participation and the impact on admission chances.
So the program is designed to be a full-time program. That's because you will get the largest benefit from the learning if you do it in a full-time mode. However, Stanford, and this is aside from M-TRAM, Stanford as an institution gives all students, I believe, 3 years to finish their master's program. So yes, you are allowed to do everything very slow-paced and part-time. We don't recommend that, again, because we have we have designed it in a way to make the learning most efficient. Now, in terms of what we've learned from the current cohort, half of them are still working in their current jobs that they had before starting M-TRAM. As long as you have a supervisor and who is flexible, and as long as your work and typically research can be flexible in that you can come back to your experiments, at different times. You don't have to be there from 9 to 5. It is possible to combine the two, but I would definitely focus on the educational program first and then maybe do part-time work. That would be my recommendation. I think it would be pretty hard to do completely full-time working and full-time M-TRAM at the same time without jeopardizing one or the other.
Thank you, Joanna. I just want to be cognizant of the time, but we do want to answer any questions. We do have just a couple of minutes left. And Joanna, this is being recorded. So are we going to send this to those who are in attendance here?
Yes, we will follow up and send the recording to everybody. I believe it's already automatically included in the setup of the webinar that you will get this recording, but we will definitely follow up with an email to everybody and send you the link to this recording.
Great. Can we answer any more questions? If not, I want to thank everybody for the participation here from Dean and Joanna, and I want to thank those in the audience who logged on and for your interest. And remember, the application deadline is January 30th. Please feel free to reach out to us with any questions. We're here to help. Any upcoming events? I don't think so.
So this is our second informational session. We already had one in November, and then now Stanford is closing for the holidays. So application deadline is in January. So we don't have any other formalized informational sessions in terms of M-TRAM events. As I said, we will have a larger retreat in September for everybody who is part of M-TRAM.
Well, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. And again, don't hesitate to reach out to us with any questions that you might have. Have a good day.
Thank you so much. Delighted to answer the questions and give an overview to the program. We hope you apply by the January deadline. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you, everyone, for attending this session.